What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, in this video, I will be discussing tonight's matchup between the Chicago Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs. Tonight's matchup between Chicago and San Antonio was the first matchup of the season between the two teams, and of course, coming off of last year where they split the series, I was pretty much expecting a hard-fought game from both teams, especially Chicago after, winning their last game. And the Spurs are a team that's not on the horizon as far as talent goes, but they have players that do play hard. Of course, Greg Popovich, and their fan base shows support and things like that. So tonight's matchup was kind of intriguing. Of course, Zach LaVine did not play again tonight, nursing or resting that knee, and no Lonzo Ball, of course. So the Bulls lineup looked something like Ayo Dosunmu, Alex Caruso, Patrick Williams, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic. So tonight's game, honestly, as I look into my notes and just think about the game, so early, the Bulls were absolutely killed on the three. Of course, as always, the perimeter is has been, the early part of the Achilles heel for the Chicago Bulls. They weren't able to defend the three early. Kelvin Johnson, came out, looked great. He looked like he was one of the Splash Brothers in Golden State. I mean, anytime he got open, he was letting it fly. And I thought early Billy Donovan was allowing the Bulls to find their way in this game. Just allowing guys to basically look for answers on their own. And that can be a good thing. That can also be a bad thing. And I feel like tonight's game showed exactly what he was looking for in other guys, right? Other guys, and I'll get into that as this video progresses. But yeah, early on in the game, the first 5 minutes of the game, the Bulls go down early, but then the Bulls show poise. And they begin to go on a run themselves. They go on a nice early 9-0 run, but they continue to foul three-point shooters. Now, that's one thing that I know every coach, no matter what level of basketball you play, is a pet peeve. When you foul jump shooters, especially three-point shooters. Because, yes, I get it, especially with the rules of today. It's hard to, know where you're landing or not get in the player's landing space per se. But, at the professional level, it really hurts because you give a guy a three-point opportunity from the free throw line. So that was going on early in the game, especially in the first quarter. The Bulls get the lead. The Bulls get the lead down to 3 before the Spurs run. The Spurs, after one, they lead by 7, 36-29. And that's one thing that's becoming a problem, giving up 30-point quarters, multiple 30-point quarters. You cannot win by doing that in the league today. Giving up anything remotely close to that is going to put you behind the 8 ball as the game progresses. Luckily, the other day versus the Boston Celtics, the Bulls did pull themselves out of that hole from being down large, but you don't want to get into the habit, and that's what you don't want to create early is bad habits. Once you start and begin to create bad habits, they linger on, and those bad habits are a continuum of basically the season. That's how your season is going to go. That's how it's going to be predicated on the way you guys play defense. So that was after one quarter. Now, what I will say is one thing I love about this Bulls team is the second unit. I love Goran Dragic, Javonte Green, and Andre Drummond coming off the bench. And tonight I read a quote and it said, the Bulls bench could be a starting unit. And I kind of believe that. They wouldn't be a very good starting unit, But again, when you have guys coming off the bench adding sparks, not only offensively but defensively, especially with Drummond and his rebounding, you have Alex Caruso and his defensive prowess. You have so many other pieces to, move around and switch around. And I think that's one thing I can say about the Bulls' second unit. Now, the Bulls start the second quarter on a great run, and they tie the game. So the Bulls play much better, and they play much better in the second quarter, especially Kobe White. Kobe came off the bench and added instant offense as soon as he got in the game. He was attacking. He was making the three when need be. Not to mention, Ayo was playing good tonight as well. I was definitely surprised and excited to see what Patrick Williams did tonight. He played really good, aggressive. He had one play where he took the ball coast to coast and laid the ball in, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, that's what he has to do more of. It's not the fact that he doesn't have the ability, it's the fact that he's not aggressive enough. And honestly, in the league today, if you are aggressive, that gives you more room to be able to be on the floor and produce. So tonight we saw that a lot from Patrick Williams. But again, the Bulls ended the half. They were still down, and at halftime with them still losing, I was like, okay, the Spurs are playing hard. They're not going to just give in and lay down to the Bulls no matter who's on the other side of the floor. By the half, I believe DeMar DeRozan did crack 20,000 points, so congratulations to him for that. I believe he's the 50th. I believe I heard something like 50th or 54th player to do that in NBA history, which is a great feat, because not everybody that plays in the NBA is able to play that long and produce that well to score, 20,000 points. So when the second half came, it was basically more of the same. Same thing from what you saw in the first half. It was more back and forth, mainly in the second half, especially in the third. You saw a lot of back and forth. You saw a lot of up and down. A lot of mistakes from Chicago, not as far as turnovers, but, missing assignments. You saw guys out of place. Rebounding could have been a whole lot better. I felt like Vucevic never got into the actual flow of tonight's game. I felt like he was shooting too many threes. I mean, he was open, but I would have liked to see him pound the ball into the paint a little more. Jakob Poeltl was getting the best of him at times and the best of Drummond at times. I'm going to read off the stat sheet tonight, but after the third, it was tied. It was tied after 3. And in the fourth quarter, that's when I believe it was either the fourth quarter or towards the end of the third, Ayo Dosunmu caught a knee to the back of the head, and they took him in the back for evaluation. I was hoping that it was nothing serious. It wasn't. He ended up returning to the game. But in the fourth quarter, you just saw, open threes by the Spurs, a lot of driving kicks, and just mistakes by Chicago, things that if you want to be one of the better teams of the league and you want to compete, and I'm going to keep saying this, you want to compete with the Milwaukees, you want to compete with the Miamis, the Philadelphias, the Clevelands, teams that ultimately you will see, especially if those teams are in your division. You want to be able to compete and compete well. And you can't make mistakes, especially when you play teams like San Antonio. Yes, we know they're going to play hard, but ultimately you should be able to put together enough to win the game versus a team of that caliber, right? I'm not saying that the Spurs aren't coached up and coached well, but Vucevic, DeRozan, Dosunmu, Drummond, we have a lot of talent, and I get it. It's still early. I'm not one to complain, but again, the Bulls made a lot of mental mistakes, and they made a lot of plays that should have been made. I should say on defense, a lot of plays that should have been made, for in my opinion, anyway. And the Bulls ended up losing tonight. And I'm not one to, like I said, I'm not one to complain because it is early in the season, but I definitely wanted to see them win tonight's game. Of course, I want to see them win every game, but of course, that's not realistic. And tonight's final score was 129-124. The Bulls gave up 3 30-point quarters to the Spurs. Kelvin Johnson had 33 points. Jakob Poeltl had 21 and 13. Josh Richardson gave them 12. Trey Jones gave them 11 and 4. Zach Collins came off the bench, gave them 16 and 6. But again, Andre Drummond 17 and 14. Ayo 12 points. Patrick Williams 10 points, two rebounds. Vucevic should have done more. He only had 9 points and 5 rebounds. It was at times where I didn't even notice him on the floor. I'm gonna be honest with you. He basically was disappear. He disappeared to me while he was out on the floor, and that can't happen. That cannot happen. That cannot happen while he's out there with no Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan had 33, but again, that can't happen. It's like if the Bulls want to compete, they have to play better. They have to be better. Now, tomorrow night, they do play a back-to-back, so they do have the Philadelphia 76ers on a back-to-back, and I believe that is a home game for the Bulls. I believe that is a home game for Chicago. Philly will be coming off of a win versus the Toronto Raptors, and they do play tomorrow at 8 p.m., Of course, I'll be tuning in. Let me know what you guys think about tonight's game. Let me know what you guys think about the performance from, the Spurs or the Bulls. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can know anytime a video is being uploaded to this channel. It's Astronaut H. This is the What More Do You Want Network, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.